live. Yes, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. We are live. Here
We
go.
are live. Welcome.
We are live. Welcome. Here we go. You ready?
I am ready.
I pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yep. There you go. Liberty and justice for all. Here, we'll go back here. Play a little of that. Those innocent looks. We were playing this song a little earlier in memory of Kamala Harris. The Girl Gets Around by Sammy Hagar. We don't want to really play this really loud because we don't want to get a show silence, you know. But anyway, so you ready to take over? I'm going to back the volume down on this one.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. Where does my song go?
You're not ready yet? All right.
I'm ready.
There you go. You're in. Oh, here we go.
We the people, and all we do, reserve the right to scream, fuck you!
Johnny Cash, ladies and gentlemen. Johnny Cash has just visited, so
wear your mask.
We love it when Johnny Cash comes by to say hello. Whole generation is mentally ill.
But COVID's near. It's coming to town. We gotta act quick, shut our borders down. Joe Biden does, the media embraces. Big Doc doesn't even call them racist.
Those racists. Hey, Beth Smee is on. Look at that. She came here and joined us right away. Welcome, Beth. Is it Beth Smee, Rick? Hello, Bueller. Bueller, you got any audio going on over there? Hello, Bueller.
Fuck Twitter too.
He can't hear me because his music's too loud.
Fuck you too.
Johnny Cash, ladies and gentlemen, has entered the building. Johnny Cash.
I love that song. I love it.
I know.
Beautiful
It actually
song.
went silent where I couldn't hear you or your music for a moment. So I was saying that. Yeah, Beth Smee. Thank you, Beth. Because on the screen it says B Smee.
Smay.
So Smay.
Smay.
Okay. B Smay.
Yeah.
But it's Beth Smay. Beth Smay. Is that it? Is that correct,
Yes.
Beth? Sorry. My apologies.
Yes, Beth Smay. Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome, Beth. You're our one and only visitor tonight. Maybe Dulcie will pop on there and bless us with her presence. Tell her to come on your feed so she'll show up on the SteamYard.
So we are 5 days into the Trump presidency. Things are
5
changing.
days. Holy mackerel.
And I'm just going to tell you. Whoa.
There's your music
Let's
again.
unplug
Welcome
that.
back.
If that's going to start that bullshit again this week. Last week you didn't do it. This week it says it's going to do it. So anyways. Oh, I have some lefty friends that just can't get over the fact. And anything that happens, they're gonna throw Donald Trump under the bus and blah blah blah. And they one even complained the other day that how do you say it? I don't know, something about a photo op, Donald Trump with North Carolina. Like, you know what? He's done more in 3 days for North Carolina than Biden did in the last 3 months. So let it go. You know. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. You got guy put on Facebook that Sicknick, Donald Trump is the reason Sicknick died, and I'm like, what the? It's been proven false. He didn't care. He just went on with it, and it's the Trump derangement syndrome.
That's it. TDS at its highlights.
It's
TDS at its highlights.
It's hang on, I gotta turn this light off behind me.
You can turn that off. Go ahead. My brother's just gonna go playing around the room there. Turn the light off because then you can see his face. Maybe.
You know, sometimes I'm a little unprepared, but I got it now. We're on control now.
There you go.
But yeah, so it's a Trump derangement syndrome, and these people just are not going to let it go. And I'm going to tell you, when Biden beat Trump the first time, I didn't want him to win, but he did. Did I start throwing bullshit out there on Biden's bad and Biden? No, I wanted him to do good. Now, eventually I did. Because eventually he started making policies I just couldn't stand. But you got to give the guy a chance, you know. And because everything we say right now about what Trump is going to do is all theory.
Right.
Okay. Now
he's done a lot in the
happen.
last 5 days. He's done a lot in the last 5 days.
No,
so there's no theory going on.
No, but what I'm saying, the outcome of these things that he's done is theory.
Yes.
Okay. Because we don't ever know. We have thoughts on what we think it'll be, and my leftist friends have thoughts on what they think it's going to be. But it's still just theory. Let's let it play out and see what happens.
Leftist friends and family. Just want to throw that out there. Leftist friends and family.
So when Joe Biden in his first couple days stopped the Keystone Pipeline, made some executive orders that the gas companies didn't like, everybody predicted, not everybody, people I know predicted gas prices are going to go up and it's going to cause inflation.
Right.
Well, what happened? Gas prices went up.
Gas prices went up, and it caused inflation.
And we had inflation. But they blamed it on the Russian war. This is the Putin
the Russian
gas hike. So, and this is what I say to all my friends. They go, so they predicted it was going to happen, and then it happened. You can't now blame it on something else. Okay? Right. You just can't do it. And I'm not saying that didn't affect it at all, but not nearly as much as what happened. Okay. And then everything, once gas prices goes up, inflation gets crazy. There was other reasons for inflations. Obviously, we're coming out of COVID. We're getting people back to work. So there's going to be some inflation there, but not like it was, not even close. And
do you remember one of my other thing they said?
Go ahead, brother.
The other thing that good evening, Dulcie. That they said during that.
Hey, Dulcie.
It's the Putin gas inflation, right? Whatever. We don't have control over the prices of gas. Remember they said that?
Right. Yeah.
When a bunch of people started bitching and moaning, what happened? All of a sudden, he starts selling all the oil reserves, right? So the price of gas comes down. Like, well, wait a minute. I thought you didn't have control of the price of gas. So you must not have control of the price of gas with that, right? Yeah. Trump is calm and calculated at this point. North Carolina and California and all of us who are thrilled to become energy independent are happy. Yes, we are, Beth. That is so true.
Right.
I mean, I said on Monday, I posted on Facebook, I said, now he needs to go to North Carolina this week. And he did. And it's like, I have no influence over this guy at all.
Well,
so
he was listening to you, brother, evidently. He said, oh, Jeff Bennett says, I got to go, man. I'm right there. So, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly what happened.
Hey, that's I'm going to post it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to post it that you said it and it happened. So there you go.
I think I should do a follow up with that post and say, see, I made the statement and he did it. So there you go.
Yeah. And so you're just talking about him opening up the oil reserves to bring down gas prices. That was the stupidest thing he could ever do. But again, I think my feeling is part of the big plan. You get rid of the oil reserves, and then you have to go to electric, which he is making a shit ton of money off because China's bribing him to go to electric. This is all opinion. This is what I think, but I can't think of any other reason why all these idiots would go Green New Deal and say we have to go electric unless they're making money, because we all know they're raping the land in China with slave labor and child labor to get these minerals out of the ground. Okay, and they're raping the land. We all know that the electric cars put more shit on the road, break debris and tires because they're heavier. And then when they're done, these batteries are going to go in a junkyard. Okay, we all know that. The only time
they do have recycling plants now, though. They do have a recycling plant for it now. So, one.
The only time that the electric car is better than the gas car is while it's actually running, and that's it.
Right.
And it's not a lot, but it is. But that's the only time but if you take big picture, they're not as good as gas cars. He needs to go visit the bishop that spoke his inauguration and set her straight. Nah, I just let that go.
I just want to say, Wayne, that one of our cousins who
Wayne, by the way, how you doing?
Who will remain nameless, said that
but you'll know who it is.
Imagine that a Christian in a church no longer has freedom of speech.
What they said was, I guess there's free speech until you're a Christian in a church. That's what was said. And
Well,
that
so
person is
she's
out of touch with everything.
plus she's wrong on 2 counts in that statement. She's not a Christian and she's not in a church. I'm just saying, that is not a church by any way, shape, or form. So, and that woman, I don't believe
What's
is a
not a
Christian.
church?
The facility that she was at, I think that was just a
Oh no, that was a
cathedral
church.
now. Yeah, but I
Well,
in essence,
tomato,
it was
tomato.
designed to be in essence, it was designed to be a church, but I don't think it's passed as a church for decades, probably. So, but I could be wrong,
Well,
and I'd be the
it's
first
tomato,
to admit
tomato.
it.
They give sermons there, and she is a Christian. We're not all perfect. We all make mistakes.
We are
Are you
definitely
the
not all
perfect Christian,
perfect.
Jeff?
No, we are definitely. I am not the perfect Christian.
There you go. So there you go. She messed up, but she's still a Christian. Yeah.
I mean,
she
like I read a scripture to my brother earlier today. It's in what was it? 1 Timothy, I think, 3:1-7.
Okay.
And basically, it says, if you desire to be a deacon or a bishop, you desire good. He who desires to be a bishop desires a good thing, and he should be a husband of one wife. So that in itself was a little thing like, yeah, I think it goes back to what my brother was just saying. You can't throw stones when you're standing in a pulpit like that and you're trying to make these political statements and you're not even abiding by the religion that you believe in. So that's a problem
I told my brother she could have done basically the same thing and stuck to the scripture. There's plenty of things in the scripture where she could have put out this message to the flock, not pointing out Donald Trump that you be kind to people, whatever. I'm sure there's plenty of them in there that you could have done that. She could have done it, but no, she chose to grandstand and single him out and try to belittle him. Okay, there's no other reason. She tried to belittle him, and that's not what a bishop does. Just isn't.
Yeah.
She messed up, and she should pray to God for forgiveness. That's all I got to say.
And I just want to say that
God
Wayne Thayer says that I'm true. Just gonna pat myself on the back there for a second.
Well, you do post on a regular basis and say the truth. Or what do you say? You say that you put a
truth be told. Truth be told.
Truth be told. Yeah.
So there's actually a show on Apple TV called Truth Be Told, and the first season is actually kind of good. It's kind of a good season. The second season it went, I don't know where it went. It went off the rails. But and I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying I thought it was a good season. I'm not saying that you should all go watch it or anything like that. It's like my brother and I have had this conversation about Game of Thrones, right? So for the longest time I never watched Game of Thrones, and I was working at this company where it's mostly all women. There's like a handful of guys, mostly all women, doing graphic design. And every day after the Game of Thrones series, they would all be talking about the Game of Thrones. And this, it is so great. And what about this? And I was like, and they're like, have you watched the Game of Thrones? I'm like, no, I don't think I've even heard of it. At that point in time, I hadn't, right? And then probably about, was it maybe a year and a half ago, maybe? I started
maybe about a year ago, maybe, I think.
Yeah, I started seeing all these ads.
Thank you, babe.
Hey, the producers entered the room. There you go. So, but I started seeing these ads on Instagram because I flipped through Instagram probably way too much. But I started seeing all these ads, and it was like scenes of the Game of Thrones. I'm like, oh, this looks pretty cool. I'll look at it. And we have HBO Max through AT&T for free. It's one of the things that they give you for free being an AT&T customer. So I found it, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to start watching this, right? I watched about the first 15 minutes, and I'm like, what the heck is going on here, right? And I called up. I
got a brother and sister fucking each other. I'm sorry, screwing each other.
Wow, that wasn't even Johnny Cash there. I don't know what that was. Anyway, but so I called up one of the girls who I knew at this company, and I said, dude, what's going on with this? Oh, it's a great show. I'm like, yeah. I said that you guys, all you women said that, but this is not really a good wholesome show. It's like mild pornography. Well, they have to put that down to get the storyline going, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, But unfortunately, I was into it, not into the sex scene stuff, but I was into the show because there's a lot of good things in it. I watched the whole
Yeah,
series.
you watched the whole show in about a week.
Yeah, it was like, so yeah, so I'm not proud of it, and I'm not saying I'd recommend it, but
Kathy Bennett is on. Hello, Kathy.
Oh, hello, Kathy. She's on my side. Is she showing up on the feed now too, or what?
She showed up on mine. Yeah.
Oh, because she's on mine. So anyway, no biggie. Hello, honey. How you doing? So yeah. So I'm saying all that to say, basically, I am a sinner. I sin. I do things I shouldn't do, and the things that I should do, I don't do. I'm kind of like I'm not saying I'm like Paul in the sense like I'm the apostle Paul. I'm like Paul in the sense where he says, look, I'm a sinner, right? All the things that I know that I should do, I don't do, and all the things that I know I shouldn't do, I do, right? But thanks be to God for Jesus Christ, our Savior, to cleanse us from our sins. So, there. Go ahead.
Let he who doesn't live in a glass house throw the first stone.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you right now, my house is not glass, but it's Anyway.
Well, no, your house is glass because you if someone throws the stone at you, it's going to break. That's the point.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Or no, it's the other. He who lives in a glass house throw the first stone. Whatever it is, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I know what you're trying to say, but I'm just saying. In all
because
honesty,
because if you live in a glass house, nobody's going to throw a stone at you.
Right.
Yeah.
But not my house physically or emotionally with my relationship with Jesus Christ. But my house physically is not a glass house. It is not. I mean, it's not like a mansion by any way, shape, or form. So that's what I was saying. But yeah, I totally get it. Yeah. So I mean, we all make mistakes. And I.
So Wayne says, how many seasons is it? I think is it like 5 or 6 or something like that?
It's 7.
7. I just started watching it, Wayne. It's pretty good, but I think I'm in season 3 right now. I watch it when I'm bored, but it's pretty decent. But there's a lot of gratuitous sex scenes in it. Like that. I'll tell you this one I thought was really good. So they're in a whorehouse. Let's just say that they're in a whorehouse, and this woman starts crying.
This is what we need to be talking
because,
about.
well, first they walk by, and this one woman's giving this other guy head, and the head of the guy walks by and he sees graphic. That. And then he walks up, and this woman's crying because her friend was killed by the guy or something like that. And she's crying. So he tells her, and this guy's complaining because he just paid for this girl. And so he tells her to go away, and he walks around the corner, and he takes out his handkerchief, and the girl who was giving that guy head is standing up now. He wipes the corner of her mouth off because she's got some drizzle going here. And he hands her to the guy and says, she'll take care of you. And they start sucking face like you can't believe. And I'm just like, oh my God. But that's basically, there's a lot of that stuff in the show. That's what it is. But they didn't need to do that, but it's a pretty good show even without it. So
yeah, and I told
Ozark
my brother,
was good too,
yeah. My son was telling me about how good Ozark was, and the first episode I was like, what the hell are you talking about? And it's the same thing as like Game of Thrones, right? You're like, wait a minute. And the one thing I'll say about Game of Thrones is every sexual sin that you can think of, they did on that show.
They
everything.
do. From
pedophilia,
there's rape,
all the way up to
pedophilia.
Rape, and it was like, everything. It was all gratuitous, and that. If you took all of that out, it'd probably be about 10 minutes. But anyway, if you took all of that out, there's actually some good storyline in there, and the dragons are cool as hell.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
and it's like the girl.
I'm just getting to where the dragons are starting to grow and they're getting a little bigger. So that's where I'm at. So I haven't seen the full, but I did see the little ones kill a guy so they could become free. But
Well, the queen, what's her name? The queen, it's the queen of the dragons. What's her name? Queen.
The blonde girl. I don't know what her name is right off my head.
Anyway, so her mom goes to see it because her mom knows that she's in this movie, and her mom goes to see it. She goes, and the first episode that she saw was the one where she goes in with the eggs and comes out with the dragons butt ass naked. She's like,
oh, because she went into the
well.
fire with the eggs, and the fire burned.
Yeah.
The next day, she comes out, she's totally naked because all her clothes burned
Right.
off. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's how that happened.
Yeah.
But
So,
anyway, so yeah,
yeah.
so
But,
so
yeah.
it's and Ozark was the same. I think on the first episode, the guy's basically videotaping his wife giving some other guy head. And
Yeah.
then he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not.
Oh, no,
I'm
he
not
was
gonna-
doing her from behind.
Oh, is that?
He was doing her
yeah,
from
yeah.
behind, and he was slapping her butt because remember he
We
does
are
it to her later in the
way-
thing, and she's like,
way
"You've never
off
done
track.
that before."
Way off track. Way off track. Let's get back on track. We were talking about.
All
Let's
right,
stop
what were we
talking
talking
about
Yeah.
all the sex fiend shows that we've watched and shouldn't have. That's the sinner.
But that was in Ozark though. In Ozark though, that was the only really part like that, other than the fact when he did it to her later in the thing and slapped her on the butt, and she was like, "What? Because he never did that to her before. So then, anyways,
Yeah, I got
and that
a
was
video
after
of
that
you
guy
doing
died
this. I just
too.
figured
Someone
I'd
threw
try
him
it.
out a window.
Yeah, well, one of the
Yeah, so anyways.
mobster guys that was trying to get him into the mob was he's going to see
Yeah.
his wife, and the guy landed on the pavement right next to him. He's like, "Oh, hello."
Yeah.
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 So it's have you
Yeah.
ever seen? No, I don't. Yeah, we need to move on. So Donald Trump, first 5 days of his presidency, this guy's done more in 5 days than Joe Biden did in his whole 4 years. He signed over 200 executive orders, and not all of his executive orders are going to, come to fruition. They're going to be challenged, and I think that he knew that going in, especially the one about the birthright citizenship. And my brother
Yeah, that's
and I
gonna have to
talked
be.
a little
That's
bit
gonna
about
have to be
this.
figured out.
Yeah, it'll have to be figured out, and
Yeah.
hopefully they will. But the reality is, the Constitution is pretty simple on this. It's people like, well, you don't know what it says, blah blah. The 14th Amendment is very simple. It says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or
Right.
enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or the property without due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction to the equal protection of the laws. Right. So my question is, and I'm not a constitutional scholar. I'm just looking at this, reading it as a layperson like everybody else. But my question is like, okay, so it says all persons born or naturalized in the United States. So if you if you're in Mexico and you come across the border and you pop out a kid and you have an anchor baby is what they call it, right? Then that person would say, you could say that person was born in the United States, right? To and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. So the parent that had the child is a Mexican citizen. They're not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States because they're not a U.S. citizen. So how do you go from that to saying, oh, because the child was born in the U.S., they have right to citizenship? And when you look at these people that work in the embassies throughout the United States, that work from embassies, like from Iraq or Kuwait or Russia or whatever embassies we have here. I don't know all the embassies we have, but if they're married and they get pregnant and have a kid, that child does not become a citizen of the U.S. So how come that child doesn't become a citizen in the U.S. and these people are here legally and legitimately as a foreign entity because they're working in embassies for their nation? But
are you
then,
sure about that? Because what about the military people when they have their babies over at a military base?
Well, they're U.S. citizens. They're U.S. citizens, and they're at a U.S. military.
Oh, I thought you were. Never mind. I missed something you said.
No,
I thought you meant the U.S. citizens who were in the embassies over there.
No, the foreign citizens that are from like Kuwait or Russia or wherever that are in the United States that get married and have kids. Their kids don't become U.S. citizens because of the 14th Amendment. Right. So we've already determined that those kids don't qualify for the 14th Amendment and become citizens. Right. So how is it that somebody who comes across the border in Mexico or comes across the border from Canada, or another thing that they're doing in our great state of California, and they're probably doing it in other states in this union too, is they're flying people in like a month or two before their due date from China and putting them up in these hotels so that when their baby is born, their baby can be a U.S. citizen. It's like, wait a minute. that seems like a total violation of the Constitution of the
Oh,
United States.
well, Kathy just said, I don't know if it's not coming up on the main screen here, but it came up on my iPad. Kathy just said, because embassy, and that's true
sovereign land of the country they represent. Yes, it is true. Yeah, but they probably don't live at the embassy though.
Right.
Because you have the diplomatic immunity. They have movies on this all the time where they some drunk guy is going to his house and runs over some American citizen, and then they can't arrest him and kills him, and they can't arrest him because he's a diplomatic immunity. So there's all kinds of movies on it. There's all kinds of realities of it that have happened in our lifetime. But they're not living in the embassy. They're working in the embassy for sure. But it's like, I think the reason that he did the executive order was because he wants it to be challenged so that it'll go to the U.S. Supreme Court and they'll make a decision on it, because they haven't really made a decision on it yet.
Well,
right.
Well,
I think that's why he did it.
I don't think the Supreme Court can do this. This is constitutional. I just think they're going to have to make an amendment to the Constitution if they don't want it. Because it basically says if you're born in the U.S., you're a citizen. Basically, is what it says.
if you're and subject to the jurisdictions thereof, right? So you're not subject to the jurisdictions thereof as an illegal resident, illegal alien, right? So what I'm saying is,
they aren't now, but normally they are,
right? But what's going to happen is, in my opinion, is the Supreme Court's going to have to look at this and say, okay, how do we interpret what's being said? Do we interpret it to mean that embassy workers don't have the right to have their kids become U.S. citizens, but people that illegally come across the border do? So they're going to have to interpret this, and if they say, what, we think that it goes with the way that we've been legalizing it. So if somebody comes over and drops out a kid, and that kid's a U.S. citizen, then there will have to be some type of constitutional amendment if they want to make a change to it, right? But if they come out and say, we think it was written in the way that he is saying, it's not written for people to just come into the U.S. and pop out kids and suddenly those kids become residents.
Well, I think it was what's the word I'm looking? It was meant in a way where if you're here in the country legally and you're supposed to be here, however you want to put it, that that's the, what's the word I'm looking for here? I can't even think of. That's the gist of the law. That's what the meaning was when they, in their mind, what they meant when they wrote it, and they maybe didn't write out enough to say what I just said. If you're here legally, or if you're here illegally, it doesn't count. But remember, that was back in the day when when people were coming in from all over the world to be in America. So
no, but a lot of this,
they were coming in legally,
right? But a lot of this also was because the slaves that were here legally, they're slaves, and then they got freed as slaves. They were not allowing their children to become residents of the citizens of the U.S. And they're like, well, wait a minute, they live here, they were born here, right? So that was one of the reasons of the 14th Amendment, right? So we can, and I'll have to do this now that I think about it. I don't know why I think about it earlier, but we can look at the Federalist Papers and see what the reasoning is for this 14th Amendment. I'm sure, right?
Yeah,
well, actually, maybe not, because this is June. This was the 13th of June in 1866. So, what was it? John Adams and what was the other guy? There's a couple guys that during the writing of the Constitution were writing the Federalist Papers. So I don't know how far they went into it. They may not have gone into the 14th Amendment at that point in time. So, but I'll look it up and see if there's anything there, because usually the Federalist Papers apply to like Article 1 through 7 and like the first 3 or 4 amendments, the ones that were written at that time. So
right,
yeah, that were written back in like 1789, stuff like that. So yeah,
it has to be Dred Scott decision, doesn't it?
Yeah, so Kathy is saying it has to do with the Dred Scott decision. I think it does. So isn't it the Dred Scott decision that basically talks about the right of slaves?
I'm looking it up right now.
Blah, blah, blah. Dred Scott decision by Brennan January. Britannica.
In 1857 landmark case, Dred Scott versus Sanford, the Supreme Court ruled 7-2 that African Americans enslaved for free were not U.S. citizens and couldn't sue in federal court. The court also ruled that Congress couldn't ban slavery in the U.S. territories. The case stemmed from Dred Scott, an enslaved man suing for his family's freedom after his enslaver took him to free Illinois and the future Minnesota territory.
Yep. So the 14th Amendment was introduced or proposed by they're proposed by legislatures of several states by the what happened there? Oh man.
How Carr had something on his show about the slaves at that time. Who's Hal Carr? Don't even know.
I don't know. But so basically, it says under the info on it, it says the 14th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States was proposed to the legislatures of several states by the 39th Congress on the 13th of June in 1866. It was declared in a certificate of the Secretary of State dated July 28th of 1868 to have been ratified by the legislatures of 28 of the 37 states, which is basically you have to have more than 2/3 of the states ratify it, or you have to have 2/3 of the House and the Senate ratify it. So that it was ratified by 2/3 of the state. And my brother and I have looked through some of these info texts before where some of the states had ratified it, and then later on, some of the states said, "Well, we should probably ratify it too, so that people don't think that we're racist or discriminatory or whatever." So suddenly, like 3 years later, this other state ratifies it. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, Wayne, I looked him up. He's a radio show host. He kind of has a Rush Limbaugh look to him in the one picture that I saw of him, but yeah, I saw who he was. I didn't see when he was on the radio or anything like that, but he's 73 years old. Been married since 1993. Conservative radio talk show host, political author, news reporter, and award-winning writer.
Yeah. So some more background on the Dred Scott case. It says Dred Scott was a slave who was owned by John Emerson of Missouri. In 1833, Emerson overtook a series of moves as part of his service to the U.S. military. He took Scott from Missouri, a slave state, to Illinois, a free state, and finally into Wisconsin Territory, a free state. During this period, Scott met and married Harriet Robinson, who became part of the Emerson household. Emerson married in 1838 in the early 1840s, and he and his wife returned with the Scots to Missouri, where Emerson died in 1843. And there's a little highlight. It says, "Why Dred Scott decision is one of the worst U.S. Supreme Court rulings in history." So basically, the Supreme Court ruled on it, but that was prior to the implementation or the introduction and ratification of the 14th Amendment. So, and I think that was one of the reasons why, because the Supreme Court earlier said that slaves don't have a right to be citizens. And they said, well, no, we think that if they're born in the United States, how does it say, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. So that was the whole point of that, to say, wait a minute, the earlier Supreme Court said that they can't be citizens, and the Constitution, the Congress said no, that can't be right. All people that are born or naturalized in the United States should become citizens in the United States. So that's one of the reasons of that.
Right.
The Dred Scott was basically ruling against it,
Yeah.
and the 14th Amendment was saying no, they do have the right to become citizens.
I just don't think the intent of the 14th Amendment was, let's say I'm a Mexican or I'm a Guatemalan or a Colombian or any of those countries
Canadian
or states
or whatever,
down there. me and my wife are together and she's pregnant. Oh, let's see, you're 8 months pregnant. Let's sneak over the line, okay? And we'll stay hidden. You go to the hospital when the baby's born, and the baby will be an American citizen. I don't think that was the intent of the law.
Right. And therefore we can, that's the anchor baby thing. Therefore we have an anchor in the United States. So therefore we can come and take care of our U.S. citizen child.
So now my baby's a citizen. I should be able to become a citizen. Yeah.
Right.
I don't think that was the intent of the law. Now maybe if the Supreme Court can straighten that out, that'd be great. Otherwise, you just got to make an amendment. I don't know. I don't know how you would amend it. Hey, if you're here legally, then yeah. If the parents are here legally and the baby is born in America, then yeah, the baby's a U.S. citizen. But I think it's pretty simple. It could be as simple as that. I don't know. But.
Right. And my brother and I have talked about this before. The purpose of the Supreme Court is not to write law. The purpose of the Supreme Court is to interpret law. So basically what they're hoping is that the Supreme Court will interpret this, and regardless of how they interpret it, then they'll know what the next step is going to be. So if they interpret it and say, no, it doesn't apply to people coming across the border illegally and having children. So therefore, from this point on,
that's the end of it.
Openly, that's the end of it, right? And then there's going to be people, well, we need to change it, blah, blah, blah. And that's okay. They can go through the constitutional process to write an amendment to the Constitution. We have the Constitution for that reason. That's what we have. What do we have? We have, aside from Joe Biden's statement of 28 amendments, we have 27 amendments to our Constitution. So I don't know if you caught that on the day running out of the office. Joe Biden said the 28th Amendment is now law. Like, well, no, we only have 27 amendments, Joe, because the only way you can add an amendment to the Constitution. It was like,
what did he think the 28th Amendment was going to be?
Something about LGBTQ rights and privileges or whatever. I don't remember exactly what it was, but basically he's saying it's law, and it's not law, because the only way it can become law is if 2/3 of the House vote on it, and it gets ratified by 2/3 of the states in the nation. So I don't know what's 2/3 of 50, so 66% of 50. So I mean, it's like,
wait, no, it's 100. Oh, 50 states.
Yeah, 66
50 states.
Yeah.
So
you were thinking of
so
the
it'd be
Obama
30
years when
30
we had
30
66 states or whatever.
30.
Remember when
30.
Obama said we had like 56 states or something like that?
52, I think he said, or something like that. Yeah, I remember.
Whatever.
Yeah,
but I'm not trying to bring that up for that point. Just to the point that my brother made a mistake, and he's correcting himself, and we all make mistakes. And we all say things that we don't mean when we say it. Not because we're like trying to be mean. We're not thinking through the process of what we're about to say, and it ends up being it's wrong. So we're like, oh, we recognize that we said something wrong, so we fix it. But so anyway, it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. So then now we've had 4 of Trump's cabinet nominees have been confirmed, or is it 5 now today? I think Kristi Noem was confirmed today too. I don't know if she's sworn in yet. But
she was confirmed. I'm pretty sure.
I know she was confirmed, but I don't know if she's been sworn in yet. So we had Marco Rubio. We had Ratcliffe, who's going to be the head of the CIA, and what are the other two guys? Pete Hegseth, and there's one other one that I'm forgetting. See if it shows up. So John Ratcliffe is confirmed. Marco Rubio's confirmed. Kristi Noem has been confirmed, but I don't think she's been sworn in yet. Let's see. Here's one, and Pete Hegseth. So there's 4 I know.
Pete Hegseth,
Kristi Noem. Marco Rubio, Secretary of State. Oh, Scott Bessent, Secretary of Treasury. So I think he's been confirmed. Yeah. Oh, he's not. No, he's not yet been voted on. So Pete Hegseth has been confirmed. Pam Bondi has not been confirmed, not yet been voted on. She went through all the hearings.
She hasn't been put up for a vote yet, though.
Yeah. So I'm trying. There was 4 of them. I know.
I don't know where she is in order.
Yeah, I heard that it's going to be February before she gets her chance to be voted on. Because I mean they have these rules in the Senate. I'm not saying they're right or they're wrong, but they have these rules in the Senate. So once they go through the confirmation process, then they have a 30-hour window to confirm that. You know, to
Debate.
basically debate on it, and at the end of the 30 hours, bless you. At the end of the 30 hours, they can vote who wants to vote for them and who wants to vote against them, and it's the Senate that votes. So you got 100 people in the Senate, or is there 99 right now? I don't know. Is there 99 right now?
No, there's 100 because it was 50-50 the other day, and then
That's true. It was
Vance had to come in and make the
the tie breaking vote. Yeah,
but
yeah. So
but remember, it doesn't have to be 30 hours. That's the maximum.
Right, but the Democrats are pushing. So basically, the way it works is how they come through the committees, right? Then they get in line to go through the 30-hour debate period, and they have a time clock. Like
right.
So, like today when they voted they voted for Kristi Noem. They started the time clock to table the vote on the next person that they're going to be bringing in, so that they don't have to do a 30-hour period, or at least it starts a 30-hour period or whatever. So yeah, so it's kind of crazy. So if you look at it, and he has what, like 30 cabinet picks or something like that. What does he have? Do you remember?
I don't remember the amount. No, I do not remember.
But I put it in my favorites. So they're like, I'm looking at this picture I took on November 15th, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. 22 people are on the list. Well, minus Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy for the Doge of Government Efficiency, the Department of Government Efficiency.
Yeah, they don't have to be sworn in.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't they don't have to go through the process.
But they're already being challenged
Vivek
right now.
Ramaswamy
is
already
he's out
already
because
not
he's going to run
anyway.
he's going to run for governor of Ohio. I guess the governor in Ohio is burned out, so he decided that he wanted to. I don't know if he's from Ohio. That's kind of the weird thing. I know JD Vance is from Ohio, though. He was from Ohio.
You know how that works, though. You go become a resident, you buy a house, or you get an apartment, whatever you do, and now you can run. That's all you had to do. Hillary Clinton did it for being a congresswoman in New York. That's what she did. Yeah. She never lived in New York, never been there. She got a place up there, and then now she's a congressman for New York.
This is going to be one of those things that's going to make you go, Do you know who she was running against for the Senate in New York?
I don't remember. No.
JFK Jr.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah, his plane crashed in the ocean, and he died.
Oh, and no,
then Hillary.
Yes, that's right. I do remember that now. When you said JFK Jr., my first thought was RFK Jr.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking I don't remember that, but now that I do remember that now. Yes, yeah, and he crashed
another
accidental plane crash.
Another notch
we
on her
should
belt.
Stop. No, we need to stop that right now. We need
But you gotta wonder, I mean,
I'm not wondering all about that one. I wonder about some things. This one I'm not wondering about, just so you know.
You're very confident about it. Is that what you're saying? Hold on, we're moving on. Marco Rubio. That was the other one that got Secretary of State. He was the other one that got confirmed. So Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, what is it? The Ratcliffe, I think, got confirmed for the CIA, and then Pete. I already said Pete Hegseth, and then Kristi Noem. But there's one more. There's 4 that had already been confirmed before Kristi Noem got confirmed today. So basically, we're 5 days into it, and we have 5 people of the. And I'm looking at the list, and the list I told you is actually, it has like Susie Wells as the chief of staff, so that's not going to happen. Because it's not like it's a nominated position. Trump says this is my chief of staff. So there's probably, the number I said before minus 1 more of the ones that I have listed that I have to go through, and it's taken about 24 hours per person to go through the process to get nominated. but they have a clock. So as soon as
Well,
the one person gets nominated, they start the clock for the next person. And that's why they're saying, look, you can
right.
do this the hard way, or you can do this the easy way.
Well, that's
Like,
why
why
they're
are we?
making them work all weekend because they said,
Yeah,
if that's what you want to do, that's what we're going to do. We're
we're
going to
gonna
work
work
through
all
the night.
weekend.
We're going to do everything. We're not.
Yep,
Yeah,
because we're
that's
gonna
what.
count the 30
And
hours.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I don't know how they did it when Biden came in. How the Republicans acted, but I do know. I knew no. Woo.
Well, they had
Big
a
words, right?
Democrat majority, even more so than the Republican. I don't know if it was more than the Republicans. They did have a Democrat majority. It was a slim majority, so. But then,
Right. So, but I do know. I've read that during Obama, they were just bringing them through. They didn't do this to the Democrats. And like I said, I don't know how they did with Biden. I guess that would be something we can look up. But I do know I heard someone the other day about when Obama came through. They were just bringing them through and letting them do it.
Yeah, and there was
mean,
a lot of
in
that
reality,
happened under Biden too. The Republicans were voting for the Democrat nominee. It wasn't like it was a 47-30, 53 split or whatever. So there were some Republicans that were voting like. Go ahead. I was going to talk about one specific.
So in reality, well, hang on to that. So in reality,
no, go ahead.
The maximum is 30. You don't have to go to 30.
Right.
You should only be taking up time with relevant questions to the person being able to do the job. Okay, and that's, Hegseth, there was a lot of that, but still a lot of it was something about his ex-wife saying he hit her, and she said that's not true.
His ex-wife's sister was saying that, and the ex-wife was saying that's not true. So it's like
that's not true.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute. What is your
so I mean, how long are you going to spend on that? If the ex-wife actually says this, then how long are you going to stand? But that's what they did, and they're doing it on purpose to hold it up. They're not relevant questions.
The ex-wife didn't say it though. The ex-wife didn't say it though. The ex-wife
the ex-wife said that it didn't happen. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So once the ex-wife says it didn't happen, why are you talking about it? That's my point. But they are, because they want to drag it on. Because Donald Trump is bad, and we're going to fuck him over any way we can.
Trump derangement syndrome. Trump derangement syndrome. Yeah. It's and
the reason why, and my feeling is, the reason why they think that way is because he wants to come in and he wants to expose all these fools that have been living off the government and making $1 million salaries when they're only making $150,000 a year.
Right.
So I think that's why they want to do everything they can to slow them down so that they don't get called out. That's it. He's an outsider coming in. This time he knows a little about it, so he's moving a little faster. And I'm going to say
that no control over him at all. None.
All you people who didn't want Trump to win, just act like us people who didn't want Biden to win. Give him a chance before you start saying, "Oh, he's doing this, he's doing this, he's doing this." Yeah, he is doing this, but let's see how this plays out before you condemn what he's doing. Don't say he's doing this, therefore it's going to be this, blah 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 blah. Let's see, because I don't believe that. Let's see how it plays out. Like even when Biden came in and he made regulations on the gas companies and he cut the pipeline, I didn't like it. But I wasn't out there screaming to the top of my lungs, "Oh my God, gas prices are going to go up and inflation's going to go up." I sat back and let's see what happens. Okay, let's see what happens. Well, it turns out gas price went up and inflation went up. But okay, so.
But remember, we did an investigation on the Keystone Pipeline, right? And what they were proposing was a bigger, shorter pipeline with a more direct flow. And there's already a Keystone Pipeline. So it wasn't like there's already a pipeline, but the whole Keystone Pipeline, they nixed the new one, which is going to be able to carry more oil, and it had more of a straight shot to where it was going to go. So,
and by the way, that's going to make less oil trucks on the road, which is going to save emissions, blah blah blah, whatever. But they don't look at big picture. The politicians in general. Democrats are doing it more now than Republicans. They don't look at big picture. They only look at right now. We had talked about it earlier with the electric cars. They're only looking at this right here, this little, and I think they're doing it because they're making money. Green New Deal. They're making money. You got Kerry, and you got what's that other dude? Was vice Al Gore. These two guys have become billionaires, multi-millionaires. I don't know if they're billionaires now. They become very rich by preaching global warming while they're flying around in their freaking private jets, spewing more in one flight stuff into the air than I can put in a whole year just living my life. So there's something going on here, and I believe it's money. Okay, that's just me.
It is.
Anyway.
So Wayne posted this twice, so I figured I'd post it up there so we can read it. The sister-in-law of Pete Hegseth's ex-wife, we already talked about, was spreading false accusations Democrats ran with. You're absolutely right. Yeah, so it's like, but what my brother's talking about, the whole Green New Deal. So that was one of his executive orders. No more Green New Deal. No more part of the Paris Climate Accord. No more, so it's like and then no more DEI. Take down all of the Black Lives Matter flags and all the gay pride flags. The only flag we're flying in any embassy or anywhere in the United States is the American flag. And this has got to be pissing these people off, because they're like, they're like so in your face. You gotta like. Do you remember when the NHL hockey player refused to wear the ribbons, the gay pride ribbon on his jersey?
Yes.
He's like, look.
And that put an end to
freedom of speech. Yeah, I don't have to do that. And everyone's like they're gonna attack him and they're gonna try to oust him and
fire him.
Yeah, and he's like right to the camera. Look, I don't have to do that. I have a right to not do that. It's my right, and my religious belief is that I don't believe in that, so I'm not gonna wear it. And then
nothing in his contract said he had to follow this rule. Nothing.
Right.
And he's he has a contract. And he did not break anything in his contract, and he stood up for his own rights, and that's what America's about. It is.
Yeah,
we've been getting away from it because we've been getting to the point where if you don't follow, you're going to be chastised or sanctioned, or we're not going to buy your stuff, and we're going to all this bullshit. But that's where we're at. Oh, I was gonna say, so Shifty Shift. I saw a thing today.
Favorite guy.
Where he had two videos of when Trump was leaving office that they should go after him for crimes he committed. 2 times he did it. And now there's a video out there saying that there's no reason for us to go after people once they get out of office. This is Shifty Shift.
That's Shifty
He
Shift,
is a lying mother effer. Okay?
Yeah.
He will say whatever he thinks, and he thinks all you idiots in California, and I shouldn't say all you idiots, but there are all you people in California who voted for him, will forget about that he says this next time when he changes his mind and says something else.
Right.
And you people do. You keep voting this guy in. He's a fool. He's a liar. And
that could change, though. If we get voter ID, that might change. I'm just saying. So,
I doubt that's going to be the reason it changes, but
I think
that's for sure.
I think that would make a healthy change on the politics in California if we had voter ID, because you wouldn't have all of the people voting for stuff.
I just don't think there's that many people that are voting that aren't supposed to vote in California. I'm sure it happens. I just don't think it's so huge that it's going to change you from what are you, like 80% people vote Democratic in California now or something like that. I think it's going to be
this year during the Trump or last year during the Trump election, the state of California went like 51% red. I think it was. It made a huge change to the red.
51% higher, but it's not 51%. 51% more than it was the time before. But they
corrected. Corrected.
If they were 51%, you guys would have won a lot of stuff. Let's see.
Well, the thing is, we did win a lot of stuff on election night, but then after the 4 months of counting votes, suddenly the Democrats won a lot of the congressional seats that were, basically, the Republicans won on the night of the election. So, but they found all the votes and counted them, and then therefore the Democrats had enough votes to be the winners. So, yeah. Anyway.
Well, all I can say, if they did something wrong and California Republicans didn't catch it, then shame on them. That's all I got to say.
You mean the 2 California Republicans that are in the state Senate? Those 2?
Oh no, yeah, them and anybody else who's a Republican in California that has any kind of position whatsoever.
Right. Well, it reminds me of a story that you and I have told many times, and we had a debate on this channel many times about the Barack Hussein Obama birth certificate that he posted on the White House website to say that it was his long form of the U.S. citizenship. And I showed it and posted it on here and showed
Oh,
you the multiple layers of this birth certificate. And you said, well, if the Republicans didn't go after that, then shame on them. Well, you know what? They didn't go after that because
exactly.
it doesn't take a
They
rocket
didn't.
scientist to figure that that's a false document. So I
And
don't
I've
know
also
why they
said
didn't go
this
after
that
it. I don't know why, but they didn't. And they
because
should have.
because Republicans didn't go after it, my feeling is there's another explanation. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying there's another explanation, and I don't know what that is. And then, frankly, I don't even care anymore. But anyways, so it
Right.
was a little bit closer than I thought. It wasn't 80%. It was 63.48% went Democrat, 34.32 went Republican in California. So it is getting closer. But you still got a long ways to go, and I don't think there would have made that much up of a difference. You're basically talking 18% is what you're talking about.
Right.
No, 14%. 14%.
As in every other state in our union, if they actually cleaned up their voter rolls and they, got rid of all the people that are dead and they got rid of all the people that are no longer in the state of California, and they did all the things that they should do, and then they had voter ID, I think it would change. I'm not saying it would change 100%.
It would. Oh, I agree. I agree with you. It would make a difference. There's no doubt about it. But other stuff is going to have to happen before Republicans win something in California. And maybe these fires are going to make somewhat of a difference.
Wow, your picture just changed. What happened?
I saw that. I don't know. My light got. My backlight went out. My back. The light that's on the flight, the battery must have ran out on that one.
Yeah.
So
something has to happen in California. Yeah.
Weird.
So something has to happen in California. Like, okay, let me come on, shut up. Think about it. Listen.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So something has to happen in California that's going to make. Oh my gosh. Be patient. Be patient. But something is going to have to happen in the great state of California. I don't know, like a fire that burns all of Palisade Heights down to the ground. That maybe the Democrats that are voting for these idiots should be pulling their head out of their ass and saying, we can't vote for this anymore. We have to vote for somebody that actually knows how to run this state.
I honestly believe that's going to make somewhat of a difference.
Yeah, I do too.
If it doesn't, then the people, it's just nuts. If this doesn't make a difference, and I don't say it just because they're fired, because the fire was going to start. People start. I think it was arson. Most of them, I don't know.
That's what they're saying.
It could have been better. It could have been better if the politics didn't get into fires. And that's what happened in California. The politics get into fire. Oh, there's a bush there's not many people there, so we can't put the new telephone poles in there because the trucks that go in to put the telephone poles are going to kill some of these bush. Okay, those bush are all dead now, by the way. Everyone, they're dead.
I don't know. Maybe make it
what
wider
difference
fire
did that
break,
make?
Wider fire break, because
and
you want it all burnt to the ground.
We're going to spend money on illegals, so we don't have the money to make these fire breaks in the trees that we've always been doing.
On the homeless,
and now we stopped doing it.
The homeless, can't forget the homeless.
Yeah, homeless, and yes, exactly. And well, if I was homeless, I'd want to live in California too. I'm just saying. What was the other thing? They were clearing the brush, and now they quit doing that a couple years ago. Yep. And then they don't have the water coming down.
Fix the surface.
They drink during fire season. Now, what effing kind of bullshit is that? You know what I'm saying?
It's total, absolute mismanagement and incompetency. That's what it is. You can't think of it of any other way. They're just incompetent and they're mismanaging it. And so I think I told you this already, but so I think it was last year, like maybe summertime, I was talking about how the year before the state of California had like a $60 or $100 billion surplus. and then a year later they have like a $28 billion deficit, right? So here we are in 2025. After 2024, we had a $24 billion deficit. And what does Gavin Newsom do? He goes, "Oh, I'm gonna pledge to spend $2 billion on the Palisade Heights area." Yo, Jack, where are you gonna get the $2 billion? You're already $28 billion in the red. You just gonna pull it out of your ass or what? But you know where they're gonna get
it's just like our national government's been acting the same way. $38 trillion in debt. They didn't care when we were 20 trillion. Let's just keep spending. Let's just keep spending. So Gavin thinks I'm going to be president. I'll just act like these fools, and let's just keep spending. Let's just keep spending, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, hopefully now these fools are going to change. I mean, last year I think it was like $1.5 trillion over the budget. Like that's the money they're exceeding what the money that they made, right? So that's instantly added to the deficit of our nation, right?
So by the way, there's two words. One is deficit. What's the other one? Debt. Deficit and debt.
Yes,
I think it is. So the deficit is actually what they call the deficit is actually how much more they spend than
what they earned,
than we're bringing in. That's the deficit. Yeah. So Joe Biden said he reduced the deficit his first 2 years, and if you go by that formula, he did. Because instead of spending 2.5 trillion more than we made, we only spent 2 trillion more than we made. So he reduced the deficit. And that was what he was saying. I remember. And I'm like, what the F is he talking about? He didn't reduce any deficit. But then that's the thing. They use two different words for it. And it freaking drives me nuts. And that's a short drive, by the way, but I'm there.
Yeah. Well, we're both on that.
They need to put high power water. They need to put high power water sprinklers maybe in the telephone poles and power lines. Yeah. Or they could just clean everything up. But if they got the water, it doesn't matter, Wayne.
Yeah. Yeah. So there is a huge surplus of water up in the San Francisco area that literally is just flowing out the San Francisco Bay into the ocean, right? It's not like it's dry up there. It's not like the Golden Gate Bridge has no water.
It's beautiful country.
Yeah. But
it's beautiful.
The Golden Gate Bridge has millions of gallons or millions of yard feet or whatever. However, the Golden Gate in it now, water going right out
Bridge
into the ocean.
2.5 miles long. So there's all that water flowing under it. It's like 2.5 miles long. Yep. I'm going to look it up, but you go ahead. But yeah, tons of water. So we have tons of water, and in a couple of years ago they were talking about the Delta smelt, and basically what was happening is there's like siphoning tubes that are on the San Francisco River to pull water into the California aqueduct system to let water go down south into the farmers' land, the central California, and all this, right? So they decided, hey, we're getting some Delta smelt on the screen of this inlet, so therefore we need to stop sucking water out of the San Francisco River to, populate the water in the rest of California because we want to save this Delta smelt, right? And that's exactly what it was, right? And it was. I remember you telling me when it happened. That's what they did.
Yeah, and President Trump is like, look, you need to turn the valve and open up the water to come down here, and then Newsom is like, no, we don't have a valve. Well, yeah, technically you don't have a valve, but I'm sure if you flip the switch to power up the motors to start sucking the water on the San Francisco River and let it go back down to California aqueducts into the farmlands of Central California, and I don't know, maybe into Southern California where we have avocado trees and all this stuff, maybe that would actually work. You never know, but all the environmentalist wackos that live in this country or this state, I say country, almost like its own country, but all the environmentalist wackos that live here, they can't handle it. Oh no. And I've told this story before, but I had a customer who was a avocado grower. He had like acres and acres of avocado farms in San Diego, and he went up to Napa Valley area because all the farm growers are getting together and they're meeting stuff. And he had a woman that found out he's an avocado grower, came up to him in his face saying, "You can't have our effing water. This is our water. You can't have any. Get your effing crop out of here." And he's like, dude, A, I don't know where this came from, and B, we're Californians. it's not like you have the water because you got it first, right? So you therefore you don't have to share it with anybody, but that was the mentality of this person. And that unfortunately is a mentality of people like Gavin Newsom and all the other people that live up in the Bay Area. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the
I
San
digress.
Francisco Bridge is 1.7 miles long. So you have 1.7 miles of deep water, because it's deep, because ships go up through there, flowing through this. There's billions of gallons of water going down through there.
Yep.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so there's no reason you can't divert some down the other way. It's not going to do anything. What was I? Oh, so that's one way to get water.
Right.
Another way is desalinization
Imagine
plants,
that.
which if you know that where you get most of your water from is the Hoover Dam, and that's getting low. Actually, it's not so low anymore. It has raised in the last year or so. But it's still not as high as it should be. But if you know at one point it was getting low enough where they thought they were going to lose their water, and if you know that, you should have a backup plan. You should be making desalinization plants all down the freaking coast, man, and just then you would not run out of water when the fires come in. When the fires come in, you put all that water to fires, and it's done. Okay,
Right.
you don't have to worry about one little bit. But that's not these idiots don't do it. So
I think currently in California we have 2 desalinization plants. One is in Calabasas, which is halfway between Orange County and San Diego, and the other one I believe is in Santa Barbara. So my son's in-laws live in Goleta area, which is right next, a little bit north of Santa Barbara. So Santa Barbara is rebuilding their desalinization plant, right? And so the people of Goleta are like, "Oh, good, this is going to help." And they're like, "No, you don't get any of our water." It's like, seriously? So, and then they say, "Well, these things cost a lot of money. It costs, like hundreds of millions of dollars." Well, you're going to donate $2 billion to the people who lost all their houses in the fire because you don't know how to manage the freaking underbrush, right? And imagine if you took, I don't know, maybe $1 billion and built a couple of desalinization plants off the coast of LA. And then you're like, yeah, we got water coming out the yin yang. We can put sprinklers on telephone poles
because
and water the
once
land
you
and
build
do
them,
whatever.
You put the water in the lines, and then the people pay for how much water they use. So you're making money on these things eventually. Okay, so it's not like I'm throwing good money after bad. You're gonna eventually make some money on it. Even if it's only a little, you're gonna get some money coming back in, because you don't want to overcharge for the water, because that would be ridiculous too. But you like, I live in Binghamton, New York. You had to pay a water bill every 3 months, I think it was, in Binghamton, New York, if you live there. And that paid for your water and your sewage. Okay, nobody complained about it. When they raised rates, people would complain for a little while, and then it would go away. But that's what you would do. But they will never run out of water, and that's what you do in California. I'm sure Californians are paying for water right now, anyways.
Oh yeah. So, fortunately, my wife and I, where we're living, we don't pay water. That's one of the things that comes with the rent, right? But we pay electricity.
You do pay it. You just pay it in a different way.
Yeah, maybe, but
you pay it in the rent.
But they're not paying. They're not putting limitations on the water usage, is what I'm saying.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that we could be doing if we wanted to, but it's not like I want to go, hose the neighbor's yard down for hours on end or anything like that. I don't think that way, right? But back to the desalinization plants, right? So Israel was in a drought period of time. Like they were basically telling their people, you could only do like a gallon of water a day to wash your dishes, take showers, or whatever it was. I'm sure it was more than a gallon. I'm just making numbers up, right? So they decided, you know what? We're going to build a couple of desalinization plants, right? That is like the what's the word I'm looking for? It's like the breadbasket of the world right now. Like they have some of the most plush green areas where they're growing crops and producing fruit for the whole world, right? And now they have no water shortages in Israel at all anymore. And Israel is kind of a small area, but that whole land, all the land and all of the people have all the water that they want now because they built desalinization plants, right? So imagine.
And my understanding is once the plants are built, it doesn't cost a ton of money to change the water. I don't
Right.
know that for a fact, but that's kind of what I've heard. It's not like a real expensive deal once you get the plant built to make the water and drinkable water.
Right.
But
Yeah, but I mean, the reality is, everyone says, "Oh, it's too expensive. It's too expensive." So, which is more expensive? No water and fires and houses being destroyed, and because you're too ignorant to clear brush.
they
That's
don't
one of the
have
things that my
insurance
wife.
because you can't get
Yeah.
insurance because
Well,
you don't clean up the brush and stuff.
yeah, and that's one of the things my wife said. I don't know, maybe clear the brush, but they don't do that because
Yeah.
they're so. I know I sent you this video. There's a video I sent you. It's on Yellowstone, right? Where
Yeah.
when Kevin Costner becomes the governor, right? And he's a governor, and he's
Mhm.
walking by, and there's a room full
Yeah.
of people, and he's got his assistant with him. He's
Yeah.
like, what's going on there? Well, they're having a budget meeting. He goes, they're having a budget meeting. How come I'm not made aware of this, right? So he walks in, and this is all made up. The what's it? Taylor
But it'd be nice if it
Sheridan.
really happened.
Yeah. But Taylor Sheridan, he's a very good writer, and he did a very similar thing in Landman too. But basically, so Kevin Costner walks in there. He goes, "So what are you guys talking about?" Well, we're talking about how we can't do this problem over here because of the sagebrush. It would environmentally affect the sagebrush, so we can't do this thing that these people want to do. So we're gonna have to nix the project. He goes, "So what about the solar panels?" Well, we haven't had any environmental
Yeah.
study that shows that the putting in solar panels would affect the sagebrush or the sagebrush grouse. He goes, so before you put the solar panels in there, what do you do with the sagebrush? Well, we clear it all out. He goes, and what do you think happens with the grouse? Well, we don't have any studies on that. He goes, the fact that you're actually saying this with a straight face makes me think that you've lost your mind, right? Because you're saying on one
Yeah.
hand you can't do this project because it's going to affect the sagebrush grouse, and on the other hand you're going to wipe out this land clear to the dirt where all the sagebrush is growing, and it's not going to affect the sagebrush grouse. It's just insane the
Right.
way that these people think. And Sheridan did the same thing in Landman, where he's driving this high paid lawyer out to this pumping area, and she's seeing all these windmills, and she's like, "Well, whose are these windmills? Or what are these windmills for?" He goes, "Well, we're off the grid out here, so we have the windmills to power our pumps. Otherwise, we'd have no electricity to power our pumps." So she's like, "Oh, you're using green energy to make dirty energy." He goes, do you know how much it costs to make one of these things? Do you know what goes into this? You have a quarter of an acre slab of concrete that's 10 feet deep in the land that backhoes have to come out and dig the land out. And then they have to mix the concrete and pour the concrete. And then this windmill has to be brought out here by these diesel engines. Oh, it's diesel engines that mix the concrete and pour the concrete. It's diesel engines that lift this tower into place, and all the oil that you have to put up there to oil this thing. He goes, this is so environmentally unfriendly. It's not funny, So all the things that you're doing to build this windmill to save the greenhouse gases, you're
Right.
spending more greenhouse gases to build it than it's going to ever produce in its lifetime.
And that goes back to our
insane.
point earlier about all they look at is this point of it right here. They don't look at the big picture. They only look at this one point is when this is actually working, blah, 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 blah. Well, Wayne asks you a question, Jeff. So when they come out there and you build a new house, do they drill for a well or do they just tie into city water? I think pretty sure they just plug into city water almost everywhere out there.
For the most part, they tie into city water. I have a customer who lives out in San Diego Canyon, and he is basically not using city water. And like when my brother and I grew up, our grandparents owned a trailer park, right? Do you remember when they replaced the leach field out there in the bottom?
I do.
Yeah. So they basically
down at the bottom, yeah.
Yeah, so the way it works is you have all the sewage from all these trailers, which are on a hill. They're on all the sewage is running downhill into a huge septic tank that's in this field, and then the septic tank, when it gets full of urine or poop or whatever, it lets the excess water, go out the septic tank and into a leach field where they have these corrugated piping in gravel covered with grass that leaches the sewage into the grass. It's like what was it? Maybe a foot or two below the ground. That in all reality, it wasn't that deep.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Not that deep.
And that the grass that grew there was the greenest, tallest grass in the whole area.
Oh yeah,
it was always green, and it was always plush and beautiful, right? So you have these leach fields that are basically taking all the sewage and taking care of it. So you're not on any city sewer, right? You're not in any city water because they had their own water source. I don't remember where they're getting water.
Yeah, there was a well. There's a well at the top of that. You know, when we came down the hill where we sled rode, and there was a dip, and you like that. There was a well right up there.
Oh, okay, yeah. So basically, they had a well that they drilled, and like at the cottage, our well was what, like they said, it was like 25 feet deep. The well at the cottage when we were there, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
They don't do that in California. Like if they're gonna drill for water out here, it's gonna be like probably 90 to 100 feet before they're gonna hit water, because they have hard bedrock that they have to drill through to get to the water areas, and the water cables aren't that good. So
I hate to brag,
otherwise they're on city water.
but my well's 825 feet deep.
Wow, that's a stud right there, buddy.
Well, I figure it's about lake. I figure it goes down to about lake level high is where mine goes to, because I live up on a mountain above a lake, and but the guy told me it's like 825 feet deep. I'm like, oh yeah, but whatever.
So that really is a Blazing Saddles. Excuse me while I whip this out.
So you know what? You got to wonder if they could drill 200 feet, 300 feet. There should be water from the ocean that sifts through the ground down there, you would think. I don't know. But whatever. Who knows?
There's a couple of movies.
Evidently, I can't wear blue shirts anymore because it fucked it up.
Yeah. There's a couple of movies that my wife and I have watched. We watched one the other night. It's a great movie, but the first one we watched is called The Biggest Little Farm, and you can rent it on I think you can rent it on Netflix or something, maybe on Apple TV or something like that. It's a great movie about where a couple decided to build a farm here in California. It's up by Thousand Oaks area. That was basically like it was like some type of orange tree or cherry tree or something grove, and basically the farmer decided to let it go. So it's like hard pan dirt, and the trees are all dead. So they kind of got the land pretty cheap. And what they did was they started their own composting. And within a matter of 5 years, they went from this hard pan dirt to having plush grass and a pond with fish in it. You had wildlife like owls and eagles and wolves and coyotes, not wolves, but coyotes, and that were taken care of. Like when they first grew the grove trees, they had all of these groundhogs that were like digging at the roots of the trees and stuff, right? But as time went by, and they worked out the symbiotic relationship of everything that's there. So like they had like this snail problem these snails were like infesting all their trees, right? So, but they found out if they let their ducks loose in the area where the trees are, the ducks eat all the snails. So you have this symbiotic relation, and the ducks are pooping all over everything, right? Well, then they bring the chickens in. The chickens scratch through the poop, and they get the fly larva, right? And they spread out the manure, and the ground gets softer and richer. And then suddenly your ground can hold water rather than just water running off the top of it. So therefore, you're basically building your own water source on your own property, right? So, hey, I'm gonna have to let you go. My wife is asking me to help her out. Kathy says you have a book pattern on your shirt. So, but
I was just gonna.
We've been on for an hour and 20 minutes. It's been a great time. I want to say God bless you guys for coming out and listening. God bless America. God bless Donald Trump and JD Vance. God bless our military personnel, our military, all around the world. God bless our.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't. That's
See if you can find it, Jenny. It's pretty wonderful. Michael Knowles is a pro.
What are you playing? What are you playing, man?
That was Joe Rogan. He was talking to that scientist guy I was telling you about earlier. Just plugged in my phone and it turned itself on. So Yeah, there
it
you
did.
go. So yeah.
Anyway, so God bless America, God bless our troops, and God bless you for coming by and listening. We really appreciate it. Hit the like and follow if you can do that. Hit the like and follow, and recommend us to your friends so that we can get an audience, because we would love to have an audience.
Yes. God bless you all. Thanks again. It was a good show. We appreciate you coming in, and even though I'm late, good night now.
Yeah, your music is terrible. I'm just saying. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. It's mumbling. We'll have to figure that out. We'll have to spend some time on it. But good night, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate
Love you
you coming
guys.
by.
Good night.
Love you guys.